people are attracted to being pastors. Not all of them are narcissists, but narcissists are needy, very needy. Narcissists need their egos filled at all times. They need affirmation in order to like themselves, right? Mm-hmm. And it's the same thing with people who have low self-esteem. They may not be narcissists, but they still need a ton of affirmation. And I feel bad for both of those types of people. I identify more with the people with low self-esteem who like, because I'm not a narcissist, but the ego is still very much prevalent. It's like, if one person didn't like the sermon, it's the worst week.
Oh, it's crushing.
It's terrible. And then like, you're doing it. You're doing the whole pastor sermoning thing because you need that affirmation. Mm-hmm. You're basically a masochist. So why are you doing this to yourself? If you're so crushed when people don't like it, you're doing it because you need the affirmation. And I just wonder, like, I find it ironic that people that are drawn to ministry and pastor, and obviously it's not every minister and pastor, but it's true of me, and I think it's true of a lot of people, are like the sort of like the artist who does drugs in order to make a good album. You know what I mean? Like it's really sad, and I think it can turn into narcissism if your church does start growing and people do start listening to you, start believing your own hype.
Yeah.
There's got to be a better way to do church, and maybe those types that are attracted to the ministry. Maybe they should like pursue being therapists, or I don't know. Because there's always a danger that it's really dangerous if it doesn't go well, because that can affect that can make you depressed. And I've struggled with depression, but it's even more dangerous if it goes well.
Yeah. Yeah, I think when I was a pastor, narcissism is like, I think we're using it in both senses. Like, one is like a psychological like condition, mm-hmm. and one is sort of like a pattern that people can fall into. Mm-hmm. And I think like the psychological condition, from what I've read, like it can't be really treated. It's mm-hmm. very much like borderline. Right. Like, you're gonna have to work really, really hard and first admit that you're a narcissist, and narcissists mm-hmm. don't do that. Like that's where I would say Driscoll's a real narcissist. Like, he surrounded himself with yes men, according to the podcast and according to what I saw. Didn't take criticism, right? Like mm-hmm. sort of the classic narcissistic behavior, gaslighting, kicking people out of his church who disagreed with him, mm-hmm. right? Like making sure that there was no criticism, because you're right, criticism crushes the narcissist. Mm-hmm. I think I was narcissistic when I started planting a church, especially as like the congregation grew. People were like, wow, that was an amazing sermon. And I was getting speaking gigs around the country and mm-hmm. starting to write some books, and people were like, huh, right? Sort of got this like, I'm pretty awesome. Mm-hmm. And at the same time, I'm also a worse than a worm because, right? Which is a crazy dynamic.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I don't know if that was just my personality. I also had low self-esteem then. Like, at this point in my life, I don't care. Like, I just quit a job I took a week ago. I would have never done that. And I was just like, you know what, this isn't the job for me, and these people aren't going to like me. And I have to go back to the store that I quit, because it's a store I frequent often. So I'm like going to see these people. Yeah. Right? I can't run away. And I'm just like, it is what it is. Like, when I was a pastor 10, 12 years ago, like, I would have never done that. I would have been so afraid and self-conscious, and thinking that people are looking at, like, anyway.
Yeah.
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 Well, we definitely went over our usual allotted time.
I think people will listen to our podcast maybe in spurts anyway. You know, like the 20 minutes here.
Right. On your commute.
On your commute. So it's, we like the 45, 50 minute range, but I think it's okay if we go over every once in a while. This has been really fun and really deep. And I feel like we've barely scratched the surface of things. And I'm really, I'm grateful for your table here, and for your savviness with social media, and I'm grateful for, as of last week, the hundreds of listeners that we have already.
Yeah,
and it's,
if you don't follow our Facebook page, I posted the statistic, and at that point we had 550 listens, which I didn't expect to get there. I'm really appreciative that you guys are listening. Some of you have written us and said that you've actually shared, which is super cool.
Awesome.
Hopefully we get better ads. Again, we have no control over what ads, and some of them have been.
So if you don't want to listen to ads about male erectile dysfunction, share our podcast with your friends.
Yeah, you can also fast forward, which I believe we still get the ad revenue, even if you click the fast forward 15, 30 seconds, whatever your podcast player is. And yeah, Matt, I agree. We barely scratched the surface of, I think, some pretty important topics that, might also be triggering for some people. And
yeah.
So.
Yeah, I'm glad you said that. Yeah. Trigger warning.
We probably should have said that.
Yeah, seriously, because some people have been, spiritual abuse is real.
Yeah, like listening to the rise and fall of Mars Hill, like what happened to some of these people is like absolutely heartbreaking.
And I'm waiting for my opportunity to maybe get a whole episode to say how beautiful Christianity is. And why I think you and everyone should look into it and follow it, because I know a lot of you are deconstructing, and I feel like I found the building that is real, and I just want an opportunity to not come off like a bitter ex-Calvinist, ex-evangelical.
Yeah, I want you to have that opportunity too. I think part of this is setting up.
Yeah.
Where you, sort of tearing down where you were and where I was to set up where you are.
Yeah.
And I also see a beauty in atheism that I think a lot of people of faith wouldn't. We talked about the physics a few episodes ago.
Right.
Like a particle is not a particle or a wave. Like it's both. And what does that even mean?
Yeah. Right.
Any final?
We didn't drink any new coffee this time, so I can't give any ratings on the coffee.
Well, we gave ratings about in the beginning.
Oh, was that? Yeah, that was the beginning of this podcast?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. It's been a long time. But yeah, Omar coffee was what I was drinking this time. Nate didn't have coffee this time, but I did. And Omar coffee out of Newington, Connecticut.
Yeah. Thank you guys for listening. Love you. Appreciate you. Like, comment, share, all that good stuff. See you next week.